It's very important in life to be honest with yourself. Safety does not come from any company or government. Safety comes from you knowing that you have to continuously develop yourself. A couple of houses I bought before I got married that I bought it with the intention of renting it. So they were all around 210K or less.
Okay.
They were in great locations. And I was like, I'm going to live here for 1 or 2 years and rent it out. You get a 700K house, put a 200K pool in it, and you're thinking you will sell it in a short period of time and you'll be able to make that money back. That's probably not realistic. I would not call that an investment. You're just not going to make any equity on it.
I saw a post that you did on Instagram where you said you did over 15 million in 2025. That is insane for someone who's only done this full time for 2 years.
The first year, I think I did 10 houses without even trying. I was like, wow.
So this is you doing it while still working your full-time job?
Yes. The longer I stayed in corporate world, the more I realized that there are some chosen ones, and I may not be part of those chosen ones.
Hi, Tobi.
Hey, baby.
How are you?
I'm good. Good to be here.
Thank you for coming on the podcast. I'm really excited. You're actually my first guest on the podcast, so yay.
Yeah. It's exciting. I know you've been talking about this for a while, since last year, and I'm just glad that you're actually doing it. So I got you a gift.
Yay.
Cheers to many more episodes,
Thank you. We got the champagne.
Yeah, let's celebrate.
Nice. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So let's get into business.
Okay.
I read an article by a guy called J.L. Collins. He is the author of The Simple Path to Wealth. It's a financial independence book that has sold millions of copies, New York Times bestseller. And he argues in the article that buying a house is actually not an investment. It's a lifestyle choice. I grew up thinking that every property you buy is an investment. So as a CPA and also a real estate investor, I'm curious to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I need to add that to the book to read for the year. I've not read that book yet. But I can only speak from my own personal experience. And I've seen people do it both ways, as an investment, as a lifestyle. I've seen people buy it as a lifestyle and lie to them they're buying it as an investment. And I've seen people buy it as a lifestyle, but actually they have a potential to make it an investment. For example, for me, there are a couple of houses I bought before I got married that I bought it with the intention of renting it. So they were all around 210K or less.
Okay.
So they were in great locations. And I was like, I'm going to live here for 1 or 2 years and rent it out. So for me, that was an investment. And it is an investment because I'm still cash flowing on those properties. After I got married, we got another house. I told my wife, this is not technically an investment, but it could be, but it's okay. Just because we went up on our budget, because, we have 2 kids now, we have grandparents. So I think you can have it for both. What you just need to be careful of is not to lie to yourself, right? Because if you get a 700K house, put a 200K pool in it, and you're thinking you will sell it in a short period of time, and you'll be able to make that money back, that's probably not realistic. I would not call that an investment. That's something you're buying for yourself, right? And your enjoyment. But if you stay there for 10 years, it could not become an investment. So it really depends on your intention and timing. What I would just advise for people is that live within your means. If you want to use it as an investment, buy something small, don't go too crazy. Stay in it long enough. If you buy your house 2 years ago, I want to say 2 years, you're just not going to make any equity on it. It's not because the house is not an investment. It's just your timing, right? But either way, make bold moves. Don't be afraid to make some moves in housing. So yeah, I think it could be both. You just have to be honest with yourself.
I love that take. Thank you for sharing that. So let's get into how you even got to this point. You used to work in corporate America. You are actually a CPA. That's big. But you recently made the move to do real estate full time. Can you tell us all about that and how you came to this point?
Yeah, it's been a journey. Even journey before I started my career. Um, all we all want in life is peace. I know men say that they want peace, but I think women also want.
And money.
Yeah, so all I want is peace and live life on our terms, right? You need money to do that, but really that's what we want, right? If it's not really the house you want, it's just the comfort of I want to be able to sleep well, I want my family to be able to sleep well and have space to do whatever they want to do, whether you get in a house or anywhere, so it's really the things we want to use money to do and the freedom and that time that matters, right? And I think that initially growing up, I was thinking I'll find that in a job or working for government. And my parents were not into business. They were working for the government or corporate world. And that's what I thought. But, the longer I stayed in corporate world, the more I realized that there are some chosen ones and I may not be part of those chosen ones. And I think it's very important in life to be honest with yourself. Know your strength, know your weaknesses. I just didn't have some strength that some of the chosen ones want. And even if I wanted to do those things, I would have to change who I am. And I just was not ready to change who I was to that extent. I didn't feel like it was important. So yeah, the longer I stayed, the more I realized that, okay, the safest way to think about life is you're in this life by yourself and you're God, right? And safety does not come from any company or government. Safety comes from you knowing that you have to continuously develop yourself. And if you look at the story of this country, the evolution, like companies that survive are companies that keep evolving, right? You just cannot say, hey, I'm in this place now, these people will take care of me. I've worked so hard. It just doesn't work that way. So my mindset changed. And, I also started buying some houses, living sometimes. I started saying that, wow, I could rent, I could cash flow. I actually got, in business, trying to flip houses and all that too. That's actually why I got my license initially. The whole point was to save money from flipping, But during COVID, there was less motivated sellers. So when you're investing, you're looking for motivated sellers because government was giving people incentives to stay because of the whole thing. So then interest rate was very low, around 2%. That time, 9 out of 10 times when you did the math, whether to buy a house at 2% or to stay in the rental property, the housing made sense because prices were low that time, interest rate was low, so it was automatic. Clients were automatic. Now is a longer way to get to that point because that interest rate is 6% and houses is high. So it really depends on your short-term and your long-term goal. So that really helped me. And the first year, I think I did 10 houses without even trying. I was like, wow.
So this is you doing it while still working your full-time job?
Yes.
Wow.
So I was doing that because we're allowed to stay at home for the first time.
Got it.
Before 2019, I was working in the office. So I got my license in 2018, but I was a secret realtor for the longest time. And even in 2020, I was still a secret realtor. But I just started talking to my friends. I really became more public ending of 2023, 2024, as I just, it takes a while to shed an old identity. And as an accountant, I feel like we're more culturally conservative, just work on the numbers, do your job, go home. Don't have any conflict of interest, don't be investing in stocks because I was an auditor. So my mindset was very much that way. So it took me a while to just really step into business and opportunity. But yeah, that's kind of like the long story. Overall, it was more of a move for financial independence and just trying to figure out my own pathway. If I could do things again, maybe I should have focused on tax side of accounting, not as much as audit, because I would have been able to create two businesses as well. I can still do taxes. I do my tax for my parents, but I'm not as passionate for it like I am for real estate.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. What I'm hearing is you were motivated by financial independence. Yeah. But was there something in particular that happened maybe at work that made you say, you know what, YOLO, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to go and do this full time. Was there an incident like that? Or what gave you the confidence to actually quit your job and do this? Because many of us we want it, but we're just too scared to do it. So I want to know, was there incident and events that gave you that extra push to actually go for the life that you wanted?
It's hard to think of one, but I do know that in 2018, 2019, I was reading a lot of books. I started with Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I can't remember my name, but I was reading a lot of books on financial independence. So I think the first shifts came from my mindset. And the more I read those books, the more I actually became scared that, oh my God, what have I done? Right? This is not my company. What am I doing in someone's company that is not mine, that I thought was my company? So I think it was more like, the mindset shift over time. I just started like figuring out a pathway. And the thing, when you start shifting your mindset, it's dangerous because you start losing interest in your job. So I stopped losing because I didn't feel like it could get me anywhere. So the more I lost interest in my job, the more I put less energy there. And over time, it was just time for me to leave. So for me, it was a gradual evolution. We started from a shift of my mindset as to how I just felt like how I could make the most impact. And I was telling you earlier on, I worked in corporate America for 13 years. Or maybe I just keep in touch with 2 people that I met in 13 years, right? So there's some of the relationships were very transactional. Nothing wrong with the people, it's just the culture. It's just work. That's it. And I was thinking that, can you imagine if I put 13 years into real estate? I mean, I think you guys were actually one of my first clients, if I remember, because I helped you guys with the rents. I think that was like my first, yes, and building relationships over time. That's actually more important to me. That's really what gives me joy. Like some people help them get their first house, and now their child is 5 years old, and I'm invited to that same house that before it was just land.
Right.
Things like that are more meaningful to me in a way that you just don't have as much impact on the bottom line of a company.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I know that people want to make the move, and the way some people do it is they start the business on the side, and then they make a rule that once my side business starts to make as much as my corporate income, I would quit. Was that the case for you? Were you already making money from there? Was that what made you move eventually or leave eventually?
Yes, I was making some decent money from there. But I'm also blessed to have a very understanding wife, right? Because me getting married and she was in nursing, and we decided that she should go pursue a doctorate in anesthesia.
Okay.
So having that, I went to Florida. I know sometimes my friends are like, man, I feel bad for you. Look at you doing AOU. I was like, don't feel bad for me. I feel bad for yourself because I know where we're going, right?
Okay.
It's part of the journey. And she has a good job. We work as a team. So having that support still has liberated me to take a little more risk. And so far it's paid off.
Was she supportive when you wanted to quit your job?
Yes, she always told me that, hey, like when I'm at work, I just don't look happy. The thing that made me look happy when I'm doing real estate, that anytime I'm talking to clients, she feel like I truly care about them. And she was like, she thinks it's time for me to just do what I love. And I was like, okay, sure. But again, we live within our means in a way that us having that change, even if I didn't make any money in the first year, work money, right? So that's why it's very important to live within your means and not try to keep up with the Jones, because that keeps you in the golden handcuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
So live within your means and have a rich wife.
Yes.
Have a rich wife that supports your dreams. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
When it's so easier is you have a track record of keeping your words, right? So she knows that if I say I'm doing this, I'm putting 100%. So, there was nothing to worry about.
Okay. So you quit your job in 2023. Has it been worth it for you in terms of, has real estate been worth it for you in terms of the numbers, or just share something about comparing your time in corporate and comparing your time in real estate?
Well, say yes, it's definitely been worth it. Interestingly, I'm more busy in real estate than I was with corporate. My weekends were really off in corporate. Real estate business, you're always on. Even when I'm going to South Africa on Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
On a business trip, or is this a business trip?
Business trip is actually, an EXP conference in Cape Town that we're going for. And I'm going to go to Nairobi. But that's really for myself and just curiosity about the real estate market there. I'm talking to some real estate entrepreneurs there. My wife thinks it's a personal trip.
No judgment.
Well, we're going to have fun. We're going to take some pictures. I'm sure you see me on social media and all that.
Okay. So let's talk about the numbers. I mean, if you're going to Kenya and South Africa, it means that you must be making some money from this, right? I saw a post that you did on Instagram where you said you did over 15 million in 2025 and over 48 transactions throughout the year. That is almost like one transaction per week. That is insane for someone who's only done this full time for 2 years. Tell me about those numbers. Is it typical for real estate investors, agents to do this kind of numbers in a market like Dallas?
It's not typical, but it's also not unusual. It actually depends on who you hang out with. I try to talk to high-performing agents, and that has helped set my bar. But you have to understand, for me, I always had a choice, which is do corporate world in real estate on the side.
Okay.
And those numbers was whatever that is. But this to be worth it for me, I have to be earning more than both combined, right? Or else it's not a good use of my time. And I was already, I was making some decent salary after 13 years in corporate world. So my drive, my numbers, my metrics are a little bit different from the average agent. Some just want to make, 10 transactions, right? Because the opportunity cost is 0 to 10, right? So for me, before it starts from what are your expectations? It's also a numbers game, right? I make sure I'm touching base with my friends. I'm sure, like, if you notice, I probably reach out to you guys once a quarter.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? How can I help you? Any real estate question? And it's not just like, you guys live in a house. I'm like, do you want to buy a house? I'm like, okay, you want to refinance? I'm here to help you. I think being there with people and just being consistent, generally people see that you really care. I mean, people know you care about the money too, but people are fine with that as long as they know you care about them first, right? And you just have to show people, and you have to be there for it. This is a big trust business. Real estate is one of the biggest investments people will make in their life. And people want to know that you care about them and you're there for them. And I think I've been able to show that to a lot of people, and that's got to be business.
I agree. Even with your social media and your personal brand, when someone asks me about, hey, do you know a realtor, real estate investor? You're the number one person that comes to mind. And I think it's just the way you've grown your personal brand, like you're aggressive on Instagram, on WhatsApp, and you're loud about the work that you do. It makes me know that you're truly passionate about it. But I also wonder if your background in corporates, being an accountant, has allowed you to be this successful in real estate.
Yes, definitely. Corporate brings the discipline, the consistency, and the accountability. In corporates, I used to dread those feedback, hey, media. And that's how I get this, but I'm like, oh my, do I have to do this? Let me focus on my work, So being business there's nobody there to hold you accountable. You have to be self-critical, right? So I think that understanding that I check with myself every week, am I being consistent? Am I making my calls? Am I texting? Am I learning something new about real estate? Am I educating my audience about something? So I have this metric that I look at every month, and I'm like, how am I doing with these things? But again, nobody can hold you accountable other than yourself. So that's the challenging part. If I don't do anything for 2 months, nobody will know. It's really up to me. But yeah, I think corporate definitely brings the discipline, the consistency. But the real leverage in life is in real estate and is in entrepreneurship.
Thanks for sharing that. So let's switch to someone who is looking to build wealth through real estate. So let's say that I make $100K. I'm single. I have a decent job. I live beneath my means. I have some disposable income. With this market, interest rates, would you advise me to buy a house? How can I start to take advantage of the real estate market to start to build some wealth for myself?
Yes, I think there's opportunities in this market because 101 would tell you higher interest rate, less people in the market, right? And when you have a higher interest rate, generally, you can negotiate. Your chances of negotiate is better. Like during COVID, low interest rate, there was a line to buy a house. Well, then above asking price, right? So in every market, but that time was a seller's market. So every market, there's an opportunity. There's winners, there's losers. You just have to know who is winning in this market. How can I be one of the winners, right? In this market, it is more of a buyer's market. It's tilting to a balanced market, in my opinion, but it's still more on the buyer side. So you just have to know, okay, what's my budget? I mean, they may approve you for a 500K house. Doesn't mean you should go that far. You could go a little bit lower, less than 300K. Drive a little bit more. Buy something that you can afford. Look at the taxes. Look at the HOA. And make a move. And when interest rate goes down, then refinance, because you cannot change the price of a house. You can always change your interest rate. Because when interest rate goes down, general expectations, prices are supposed to go up, assuming unemployment remains stable.
Yeah. So you said it's a buyer's market, meaning that I should buy, but not go as high as I was approved for. So
yeah, I think you should definitely make sure you're getting a great deal. You're negotiating with price, negotiating with your cash to close. And most people don't stay in their first house for more than 3 to 5 years. So also think about it from an investment opportunity. Set up yourself like that. I think if you do that, you should look back and be glad you made that decision.
Okay. So let's assume that I was approved for 500K, but I find a house of $300,000 in the Dallas market. Is that even possible right now? Can you feel it?
I just got someone with that contract for 235.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Princeton, McKinney area. Yeah.
Okay.
There's deals out there for sure.
Okay. So let's say 300K.
Yes.
How much do I really need to afford it, right? You had mentioned closing costs, there's the mortgage, there's the cost of repair, there's the HOA, so many numbers.
Yeah.
I feel like people get into these deals with only the mortgage number and they end up becoming house poor. So using my hypothetical example, right? Single income, I find a 300K house. How much should I be planning to budget for this to know if I can truly afford it?
Okay. So to oversimplify, overgeneralize, I'll say 300K, let's assume you get a new build. A lot of builders are giving around 3.9 to 5.9, something like that. So let's say 4.9.
Okay.
Right? Normal property taxes, I would say for 300K, you should be around 2.5 with everything. Your principal, your interest, your insurance, taxes, right? Around 2.5 to, you didn't want to go as high as 3,000 because most of the time your interest rate is 4.9% or less. So I'll say that's the general estimate. Some areas have mod tax, beat tax, higher property tax, lower, and that could go up or go less. So builders are giving 3.9%. If you're getting a resale, it might be higher on the interest rate side. So that could change either way. If you change your price, you should be able to get a house DFW area about 2,500 plus or minus with a interest rate of 4.9 or lower. So that's my estimate.
So you're saying 2,500 will cover my mortgage, my HOA.
Yes.
How about repair costs?
I'll say 25. I'm talking about your monthly cost. So I'll say
my monthly cost
plus or minus 500. Just let me put that caveat there.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So for me to, before I make the decision to buy a 300K house, I should make sure that I have $3,000 per month to cover all of the expenses for this house. Is that a good number to work with?
To be safe. Probably going to get it less than that, but to have some cushion, I think, that's a good amount. If you're getting a new build, you don't have to think too much about repairs because
Okay, I see.
you have warranty your first year, and it's a new house. It's not supposed to be breaking down.
Okay.
If you did your inspection and they did what they're supposed to do, if you're getting a resale, I mean, you're not supposed to have any issues because I assume your Realtor have you do inspection, and you probably have like a 30, 60 days warranty when you first get into the resale. But you have more chances of having repairs in an older house than a newer house, and it's good to plan for that.
Yeah. As a first-time buyer, would you advise new build or property that is? Well, what would you advise? Is there 1 to 10 year? What is there a general rule for that?
No, I've met different people that care about different things. Some people just care about price. They don't care about how far it is from work. They don't care about anything. If that's what you care about, new build probably will give you better incentives. You probably get more deals there with a lower interest rate because there are builders doing crazy stuff with financing. If you care about location, and that matters more to you, it could be a resale, it could be a new build.
Okay.
Because everywhere is built out, right? So if you want, I have a client from California that wanted to live next to the lake, right? So we got them a resale. So I will go based on what you tell me, but I'll also let you know what your options. If you go to a resale, here's the pros and the cons. If you go new build, here's your pros and cons. Well, many of my first-time home buyers tend to go new build because they think the numbers work better, especially in this post-COVID market. That builders are doing a little bit more with interest than normal resale.
Nice. So let's talk about you as an individual and how you are building wealth through real estate. I know you invest in properties. You also made a post recently saying that you're no longer going to do Airbnb and you're going to focus on long-term rentals. First, let's talk about how you're building wealth and why you chose to switch from short-term rentals to long-term.
Yes, so I switched from short-term rentals because I felt like I made a mistake doing short-term in that community. Rentals make some mistakes sometimes because I still have a short-term rental in Florida. Actually, almost a month ago, there was a shooting close to my short-term rental. The cops called me and I had to give them my ring video. And thankfully, the person still gave me a 5-star review. I did not blame you for the shooting. You'd be surprised what some of these Airbnb guests say. But yeah, the Florida one is next to the water, the ocean. So nice restaurants, so people like that. So that's doing well. The one in Dallas was just not doing as well. And I'm just in the phase of my life that I can do more with my peace than with managing. When I did the numbers, my time, because I have a per hour time. I had to see that's okay, how much do I work per hour?
Okay.
Right. And I'll send you my bill after this.
No problem. No problem. We got it.
So yeah, so for me, but generally I think that if you have time and you're a very hospitable person, you're kind of like, hey, how are you? You want to give people towels and you're really there, the Airbnb is close to your house, your numbers should be better, Airbnb. And if you're just like a numbers person, you're trying to make as much money, and you get the right Airbnb house in the right location, your numbers should be better with Airbnb. But if you're busy and you're doing a lot of other things, you just want your peace, but you don't want to lose out on equity, as well as small cash flow. I think long-term passive rental is the way to go. And I think a lot of my clients in the corporate world have chosen to go that way because, they want peace and they want to use their time maybe they rather use their time for 2-3 jobs, one job and manage an Airbnb. So it's really an individual decision. That's why it's important to get to know people. You're asking me about 47 sales.
Right.
If I don't get to really know people, I can't get them what they need, and I can't get them what they need that fast.
Okay.
It starts by, okay, what is this person trying to do? Or am I just trying to push something on them? I really try to understand, what do you want? And I say, based on what you said, this is what I think. So there's no need for argument or I don't want, because I already figure out what you want. Usually realtors take time when they're trying to push something that's actually not what they're saying or what they want, So yeah, that makes business faster for me.
Awesome. So in your personal life, it looks like you're still investing in real estate.
Yes.
Across different states. Is there anything else that you're doing that we could learn from to build wealth?
I mean, I have some lands out of state, some Airbnb, some long-term, in different states. Again, like my strategy earlier on in life was live in a house, was short amount of time, rent it, pay 3.5% down, and just kept moving. So that has played out well for me. So I'll say yes, land is a big one. Multifamily is a big one. Well, I'll just say that.
What is multifamily?
Multifamily is like duplex, triplex, quadruplex. When you start going to 5 units or more, they start getting to commercial, and there are a little bit different roles and different contracts when it comes to that. But the most important thing is try to make progress every year. Something is better than nothing. Some people make the good the enemy of the perfect, right? They're trying to get, let's say, multifamily so much, and they go 5 years and they don't buy land, they don't buy single family, they don't buy anything, and the market is moving past, right? So do something, even if it's little, do something. Usually, most people's regrets is not from things they've done, it's from opportunities that they've not taken. So I'll encourage, just do something. Just make sure you can manage it and you're comfortable and it's not out of budget for you.
That's a good one. I love your strategy of leading with peace of mind and just doing something per time. I've actually never really thought about investing in land, so I will look into that after this podcast. But I know that you're a realtor, you're an investor, you flip. What are the different paths in real estate? I know that usually people, when we think about real estate, we think that the only opportunities to make money, or the most common one, is becoming a realtor.
Yeah.
But can you share some different career paths or different sources of income for you through real estate?
Yes. Real estate is huge, right? Just thinking about the more stereotypical job, you could be a realtor, you could be a lender.
Okay.
You could be a title person, work in a title office. You could be an appraiser, just doing appraisal people. You could be an inspector. So there's a lot of jobs are real estate. From a business standpoint, you could own a lending company. You could be a developer, buy land, build for people. You could just look at the whole ecosystem. There's REIT investment out there. So there's a lot of opportunities. In real estate, I think people don't pay attention to. Again, it's about to know what works for you. So for me, I don't mind going out there. I don't mind socializing. I love being a realtor because it's consistent with who I am.
Yep.
Right. I canceled my lunch, but I also have lunch with someone that does credit repair. That's another job, like credit repair specialist. A lot of people have credit issues that they could work on in 3 months if they have the right information, meet the right person. That's all this guy does, credit stuff. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. You just have to say, okay, what do I like to do? And can I be consistent? Not everybody can be on the road.
Yep.
And there's investors too, like flipping. Obviously, you want to have a strong network of contractors and investors that could get money from, hard money lenders. So that's also another place, right? Being the people that are borrowing people money. A lot of people have cash. There's no system in place to borrow out that cash and make high interest on it, right? So there's a lot of opportunities out there.
Yeah, that's definitely eye-opening. For someone watching this podcast and say they wanted to quit their job and become a realtor, what is the first point to start? Is it the exams? Is it the networking? And what is a realistic time frame for them to say, hey, I'm going to give this 6 months? Or what is the preparation necessary to become a realtor?
Yeah, I'll say the first thing is you need to know your why, right?
Okay.
I think I also need to know your opportunity costs, right? The decision for someone making $50K a year versus $400K a year is different. So you need to know your why. and you need to actually, in my opinion, you have to genuinely care about people.
Okay.
It's funny. My wife says this. Sometimes she's like, man, Tobi, when I met you, made me feel so special. But I feel like now you make everybody feel special. I don't feel special anymore. Like, that's just who I am. How did you make that a bad thing? That I care. Obviously, you're the most special person to me. But you need to care about people because it is frustrating. Some transactions go smooth. Some transactions don't go smooth.
Okay.
If you don't care about people, it will show your true character of what you actually care about would show. And that might make people gain more trust in you, or that might make people gain less trust in you.
Okay.
So if you figure something out in the corporate world is working, you don't have to like people too much, do your job and get paid, it might be the answer. But if you genuinely care about people and you want to help them build wealth, and you feel like you don't mind going through the highs or the lows with them.
Yep.
Like last night, I was with someone that got a house 2 years ago. I mean, he just lost his job. I went to his house. We were there for it's 45 minutes, like 7:30 to 8:15, just talking, catching up, right? So I told him, okay, I'm going to start inviting to the networking event.
Are you trying to become a realtor?
No, he's trying to get back into workforce, or he's trying to look at some businesses, right?
No.
I'm just saying being there for people. Like, he's not trying to buy a house or buy
No, I get it.
Yeah, that's the point I'm saying. Like, you actually have to genuinely care for people. But to answer your question, yeah, start with getting a license. If you've gone through all that thought process, start with getting a license, then find a mentor. I wish I had a mentor early on. I was trying to figure out by myself. And I didn't have any assigned mentor, but later on in life, I started figuring, okay, I could talk to this person about this. I could talk to this person about this. And I started, same thing I got for you when I meet my mentor, I got a bottle of wine. Here's a wine. Can you help me? Help my situation,
Yeah.
And it's worked for me. There's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing you want to do that nobody has done. You just have to be humble enough and to know that there's help there and just ask people to help you, right? And just be a good person. I think people will help you.
Nice. Yeah. I like that you stress the why part because most times we're just chasing the money and we're not thinking about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And if you don't see that money immediately, that could be discouraging.
That's true.
Yeah. Are you able to share like how much money did you make in like your first year
My first year.
of real estate full time?
Well, my first year, I made no money. Oh, full time. Okay, full time. Bro, I can't remember, but I would say most transactions are like 3%. Some are 1%. Some are 4%. Or I'll just say average 3%. Obviously, you have to pay your broker. You have to pay taxes, right? And if you multiply that by, I think the first year, when I did full time, actually my first year I did like 20 deals. Then last year I did like 30 something deals, and no, 2024 I did like 30 something deals, and last year I did like 48 deals. So yeah, if you run those numbers, wherever you land, it's probably close to where it is.
Yeah, three says, go do your calculation.
Good.
Take the 3% and go do your
Minus
calculation.
taxes.
Minus tax.
Okay,
I feel like that's something we don't think about. Like those of us looking at it from outside, like when you watch all these real estate shows and they say, well, this house is 1 million, commission is
it's 30K.
30K. And we're like, yeah, this is good. So yeah, it's important that you throw some light on all the other expenses that you have to make as a.
And so after that, usually when you start doing 20 deals or more, you probably need some help. So I have VAs, 2 VAs on my payroll salary. I have other realtors that I give deals to help me get to the finish line because I can't be everywhere.
Okay.
I'm speaking with you right now. There are people helping me with transactions. So whether I make money or not, every month I'm definitely paying people like at least 30 grand to do things.
Okay.
But that's fine.
Yeah. I'm glad you touched on that.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into rapid fire questions. So tell me, what was the most expensive purchase you have made in the last 6 months
6 months.
or 1 year?
Yeah, I would say in the last 6 months, I refinanced because I got a property at the height of the interest, around 6%, close to 7%. So I refinanced to a 15-year mortgage, and I got something in the fours, just to make the numbers make sense. And I was paying similar to the mortgage I was paying before, but for a shorter period of time. I just hate the interest expense. I think most people in this country, in my opinion, they make enough money, but what steals people's money a lot is interest. Right? And it's okay to pay interest if someone else is paying for it. If you're paying for a lot of interest, if you look at most of this calculation, 80% of what you're paying is interest. So
What do you mean by if someone else is paying for it?
I mean, like I have a couple of properties now that I'm paying interest.
Okay.
I'm getting rents, right?
Okay.
So it's not me paying for the interest. So that's
Got it.
So anytime I'm paying for interest directly, I hate it. And I'm like, how can I have someone pay for it? Or how can I reduce that interest? Right. So that's what I was focusing on over the last few months, restructuring some of my loans.
Okay. And then moving on to the next question, what is one money mistake that taught you the most lesson? What is one money mistake that taught you the most lesson?
This might be interesting, but over saving, not letting go, right? And again, it comes from just knowing that this life, you win or you lose. The goal should not be, I don't want to lose. The goal should be, I want to win so much in comparison to my losses. Because if you think that way, then that liberates you to trying to win. If you spend more energy trying to save, you actually lose more, right? So I think I should have done more with what I had looking back. And so now I'm just like, because as you get older, it's actually harder, because that time was all about me. I didn't have no kids. I didn't have no wife. I didn't have no second opinion, but I had all the information. But I was just holding back. But I was holding back. You know, I made some good decisions, but I think I could have done better, in my opinion. Yeah.
And then the final question, I guess you kind of answered this. Going back in your 20s, what would you do differently?
Yes, I would say making some more investments, but also having a mentor. Looking back, I think there were people all around me that were doing what I wanted to do, but I just never had coffee with them. Like, why? Why did I not? You know, why am I trying to figure something out by myself? That God has put me in a place that there's a lot of people that have done it before. There's no need for that. So now I know someone that's doing something I want to do. I talk to them. I get coffee. I mean, even at church, before I got into real estate, I called Sister Tiwa, got advice, went for coffee. Like, if I want to know something, anyone that's doing it a while, I don't have that much pride that I'm not going to ask, right? And I think that has helped me.
Do you find that people are usually responsive when you reach out to them to ask questions?
Yeah, people are usually responsive. I think value is important, right? You always have to know that if I'm going to someone to ask for something, right, what value I'm also bringing to the person, right? So sometimes I try to think about creative value. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to connect this person to this person.
Okay.
Then people are more like, because everybody's busy, you know, so if you're just meeting people and you're not helping them, are you just receiving, you know.
It's parasitic, yeah.
You say what?
So that's a parasitic
It's
relationship.
parasitic, but also it's like, if you bring in value to my life, you're just unforgettable, right? If you're sending me one deal every month, whether or not I'm always thinking about you, I'm like, hey, do review. It's just life, you know what I mean? So if you bring value to people's life, you become unforgettable. So, and that's good for business.
Yeah. Final question. What does building wealth mean to you?
I mean, building wealth is having enough to be able to take care of everybody God has put in your stewardship to me, but also being there with them, right? It's not just about finances. It's about health. It's about mindset. It's about legacy, right? So to me, that's what it means. If you focus so much about finances, we were never there for your kid's soccer game, or you're unable to impact to the point that everything you've done, they could take it on and even take it to the next level. That's not true wealth. True wealth should bring long-term lasting happiness, not just to you, your family, but to people around you. And that's not something only money can do. It's a mindset. It's about, okay, I have a bigger responsibility, not just to myself, to my family, but to the world, to make it a better place. So when you're building what, you're building with that mindset. And when you do that, you actually tend to build what, because the world needs people that are creating value, right? So, and the world needs people that really care. So when you do that, you just attract what? You don't even have to fight for it. So I think it starts from how you think about life and what you really care about.
Love that. That is so profound. And I think that's a good place to
Awesome. We did it.
wrap up our session.
Yay.
Thank you.
Podcast ever.